Unlock true freedom. Taoist secrets to overcoming mental suffering and embracing the present. One of the most important insights from Taoism is the advice that we should maintain a natural, effortless state. We shouldn't overuse our intellect or constantly entertain thoughts. The more natural we are, the closer we are to the Tao. Do you know that most of the time, your thoughts are the primary source of your suffering? Your mind is supposed to be a tool for you, but over 95% of the time, you become enslaved by it, a victim of compulsive thinking. As Laozi said, if the mind is not dead, the Tao cannot be born. If you want to awaken and minimize suffering, watch this video attentively. You will suddenly realize why you have been trapped in pain, worry, and emotions. Let's get straight to the point. The human mind has 5 characteristics that inevitably bring suffering. 1. The mind's duality, embracing the interplay of opposites. The mind operates in binary modes, much like a computer. Yes or no, good or bad, black or white, like or dislike. Reflect on your reactions when you receive information. Aren't they always categorized as like or dislike, agree or disagree, believe or disbelieve, good or bad, right or wrong? This binary mode of thinking, rooted in human nature's tendency to seek pleasure and avoid pain, confines our understanding of the world. Good things make us happy, bad things cause suffering, and this duality inherently limits our perception and actions. For example, consider the fluctuating value of buying a house. 10 years ago, purchasing property might have been seen as a wise investment, promising growth and stability. However, in today's market, the same action might be fraught with risks of devaluation. Looking ahead 50 years, who can predict the outcome? The only constant is change, illustrating Laozi's wisdom. Disaster is the root of good fortune gives birth to disaster. This profound insight reveals that good and bad are not fixed states but are intertwined and cyclical. Misfortune can transform into a blessing, and a seemingly fortunate event can harbor hidden challenges. These evaluations are limited by time and space. Judging things as good or bad blinds us to the truth, trapping us in a cycle of suffering and fleeting joy. By understanding the inherent limitations of binary thinking, we can begin to see beyond immediate judgments and appreciate the dynamic interplay of life's experiences. True wisdom lies in transcending these dualities and recognizing the fluid nature of circumstances. When we stop rigidly categorizing our experiences, we open ourselves to a more profound understanding of existence. This shift in perception allows us to embrace change, find balance in the ebb and flow of life, and ultimately free ourselves from the self-imposed constraints of binary thinking. 2. Judgments based on experience and social conditioning. Breaking free from the cycle. Our actions are often dictated by the judgments of our minds, which are heavily influenced by both subconscious habits and societal conditioning. This dual influence shapes how we perceive and react to the world around us. Take, for instance, the scenario where your child neglects their homework. Instantly, your mind, conditioned by societal norms and expectations of what a good child should be, casts judgment. This judgment typically leads to frustration, anger, and perhaps punitive actions, reactions that you might later regret. This cycle of judgment, reaction, and guilt is pervasive. It not only affects your well-being but also imprints on your child, creating similar patterns of behavior and thought in their life. They learn to judge themselves and others harshly, continuing the cycle into future generations. The repetitive nature of this pattern keeps both you and your child trapped in a loop of negative emotions and actions, hindering growth and understanding. To break free from this cycle, it is crucial to become aware of and challenge these ingrained judgments. Reflect on how much of your response is shaped by societal expectations rather than the unique needs and circumstances of your child. By questioning and redefining your standards of judgment, you can foster a more compassionate and understanding approach. For example, Instead of immediately reacting with anger when your child doesn't do their homework, consider the underlying reasons for their behavior. Are they struggling with the material, feeling overwhelmed, or distracted by other issues? Addressing the root cause with empathy rather than judgment can transform the interaction from a source of conflict to an opportunity for connection and support. Moreover, as you become more mindful of your judgments and reactions, you model a healthier way of dealing with challenges for your child. They learn that it is possible to approach problems with understanding and patience, breaking the cycle of judgment and reaction. This shift not only benefits your relationship, but also equips your child with valuable tools for navigating their own experiences. In essence, breaking free from the constraints of societal conditioning and subconscious habits requires a conscious effort to change how we judge and react to situations. By embracing a more compassionate and reflective approach, we can foster healthier relationships and create a positive impact on the next generation. 3. The mind dwells on the past or future, ignoring the present, freeing ourselves from the ego's grip. As we navigate through life, we inevitably develop a self-image shaped by a myriad of personal and environmental factors. This self-image, known as the ego, becomes a central part of our identity. The ego thrives on continuous thought, rarely existing in the present moment. It constantly drags us into the past or propels us into the future, ensuring its survival by keeping us trapped in a loop of mental projections. Consider how often your mind revisits past events, replaying moments of regret, guilt, or nostalgia. Alternatively, it may fixate on the future, conjuring fears, anxieties, or aspirations. This ceaseless oscillation between the past and the future is the ego's way of maintaining control. Even when we attempt to focus on the present, the ego filters our experience through the lens of past experiences or future expectations, distorting our perception of reality. For example, you might find yourself reminiscing about a past success or failure during a quiet moment, or worrying about an upcoming event while trying to relax. These thoughts pull you away from the present, filling your mind with narratives that sustain the ego's dominance. When the mind is governed by the ego, our perspective becomes skewed, often leading to feelings of dissatisfaction, anxiety, and disconnection from the now. The ego's grip weakens, however, when we begin to break free from identifying with our thoughts. Mindfulness and meditation practices can be powerful tools in this process. By observing our thoughts without attachment or judgment, we can begin to see them for what they are, fleeting mental events rather than definitive truths about ourselves or our lives. This shift in awareness allows us to experience the present moment more fully and authentically. For instance, instead of being consumed by worries about an upcoming presentation, we can focus on the task at hand with a calm and clear mind. When we stop identifying with our thoughts, the ego loses its power, and we gain the ability to live more harmoniously in the present. Living in the present moment does not mean ignoring the past or the future, but rather embracing them with a balanced perspective. Acknowledge past experiences and future possibilities without letting them overshadow the here and now. This balanced approach can lead to a more fulfilling and centered life, free from the constant turmoil generated by the ego. In essence, the key to overcoming the ego's dominance lies in our ability to detach from the continuous stream of thoughts about the past and future. By cultivating mindfulness and present moment awareness, we can dissolve the ego's control, leading to a more peaceful, authentic, and fulfilling existence. 4. The mind never stops, breaking free from the tyranny of continuous thought. Consider this. Has your mind ever truly paused? For most people, the answer is rarely, if ever, unless during moments of extreme shock or surprise where the mind temporarily blanks out. Otherwise, our minds are incessantly active, driven by deep-seated subconscious habits that perpetuate a ceaseless stream of thoughts. This constant mental chatter occupies our attention so fully that we often remain unaware of the extent to which we are enslaved by our own minds. Continuous, uncontrolled thinking is a significant source of human suffering. The relentless cycle of thoughts can lead to anxiety, depression, and various forms of mental distress. It's not merely the content of our thoughts, but the unending nature of thinking itself that can be so tormenting. Reflect on the most painful periods of your life. Weren't they marked by an inability to stop thinking, to shut off the mind's incessant narrative? For instance, consider the aftermath of a significant personal loss, such as the end of a relationship or the death of a loved one. The mind tends to replay memories, regrets, and what-ifs in an endless loop, magnifying the emotional pain. This mental overactivity can prevent us from processing grief healthily and moving forward. Similarly, during times of high stress, such as preparing for a major exam or a critical work presentation, the mind often becomes a whirlwind of worries, fears, and self-doubt. This torrent of thoughts can paralyze us, making it difficult to concentrate or take effective action. The anxiety generated by this mental turbulence can be overwhelming, leading to a sense of helplessness and despair. The key to alleviating this suffering lies in recognizing and breaking free from the tyranny of continuous thought. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation and deep breathing exercises, can help us become more aware of our thoughts and develop the ability to observe them without becoming entangled. By creating a space between our awareness and our thoughts, we can start to see them as transient events rather than defining truths. Engaging in activities that promote a state of flow can also be beneficial. When we are fully immersed in a task, whether it's painting, playing a musical instrument, or even engaging in a sport, our minds often quiet down naturally. These moments of flow provide relief from the constant mental chatter and allow us to experience a sense of peace and fulfillment. It's also essential to cultivate a practice of self-compassion, understanding that it's natural for the mind to be active and that everyone experiences periods of incessant thinking can help us approach our mental struggles with kindness and patience. Instead of battling our thoughts, we can gently redirect our focus to the present moment, whether through mindful breathing, grounding techniques, or simply engaging with our immediate surroundings. By learning to calm the mind and reduce the incessant thinking, we can significantly improve our mental well-being. This shift not only alleviates anxiety and depression, but also enhances our ability to live more fully and joyfully in the present moment. In this way, we can transform our relationship with our thoughts from one of enslavement to one of mindful coexistence, leading to a more peaceful and centered life. 5. The mind consumes your attention, blinding you to your true self. The ever-thinking mind, perpetually churning with thoughts, ideas, and worries, is not your true self. Rather, it is a complex construct, a reactive body influenced by deeply ingrained habits and subconscious patterns. This ceaseless mental activity consumes your attention, creating a veil that obscures your true nature. Awakening, or enlightenment, is the process of transcending this constant mental chatter and reconnecting with your true self. This state of being is characterized by natural harmony and is described in various spiritual traditions, including Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism. These philosophies all point to a fundamental truth. Your natural state is one of peace, joy, and inner calm, which becomes obscured by the incessant thinking and the ego's false constructs. The mind's continuous activity creates a false sense of self, known as the ego, which is a collection of thoughts, beliefs, and identities formed from past experiences and societal influences. The ego thrives on validation and seeks fulfillment from external sources, whether through achievements, possessions, or approval from others. This relentless pursuit of external validation traps us in a cycle of desire and dissatisfaction, pulling us further away from our true nature. To illustrate this, consider how we often define ourselves by our roles and accomplishments. I am a successful professional, I am a loving parent, or I am a dedicated student. While these identities can be important, they are not the essence of who we truly are. They are transient and dependent on external circumstances, which can change at any moment. When we identify too closely with these roles, we become vulnerable to suffering whenever these external factors are threatened or lost. Breaking free from this illusion requires a shift in perspective. Mindfulness practices, such as meditation, help quiet the mind and create space between our thoughts and our sense of self. Through regular practice, we learn to observe our thoughts without becoming entangled in them, recognizing that they are just fleeting mental events rather than defining truths. For example, in meditation, you might sit quietly and focus on your breath. As thoughts arise, you simply notice them and gently bring your attention back to your breathing. Over time, this practice helps you develop a sense of detachment from your thoughts, allowing you to experience moments of stillness and clarity. In these moments, you may begin to sense a deeper, more stable presence within you. A presence that is peaceful, joyful, and unchanging. Engaging in activities that foster a sense of connection and presence can also help. Whether it's spending time in nature, practicing yoga, or engaging in creative pursuits, these activities allow us to tap into our true selves. They provide a respite from the mind's incessant chatter and offer glimpses of the natural harmony that underlies our existence. Cultivating self-awareness is another crucial step in this journey. By paying attention to our habitual thought patterns and questioning their validity, we can begin to dismantle the false ego. For instance, if you notice a recurring thought of, "I'm not good enough," you can challenge this belief by examining the evidence and considering alternative perspectives. Over time, this practice weakens the ego's grip and allows your true self to shine through. The journey toward awakening and enlightenment is not about escaping the mind, but rather about understanding its nature and seeing beyond its illusions. As we learn to quiet the mind and detach from the false ego, we rediscover the peace and joy that are our birthright. In this state of natural harmony, we are no longer driven by the need for external validation, but instead find fulfillment within ourselves, living in alignment with our true nature. Some might argue that without thinking, we can't solve problems or be creative. This isn't about passive resignation, but about transcending the mind's limitations to tap into higher wisdom through intuition and inspiration. True innovators like Einstein and Newton access their insights by transcending the binary constraints of the mind, entering states of deep calm and focus, connecting with higher dimensions of wisdom. Your mind should be a tool, activated when needed and turned off when not. Most of your thoughts are repetitive, useless, and harmful, consuming your attention and draining your energy. To escape this, live in the present moment. Here are practical strategies to help you live more mindfully. Strategy 1. Focus on tasks at hand. In our fast-paced world, the mind often races from one thought to another, caught in an endless loop of worry, regret, and distraction. To break free from this cycle and harness the true potential of your mind, it's crucial to focus on specific tasks at hand and cultivate the habit of living in the present moment. This strategy not only enhances productivity, but also fosters a sense of peace and clarity. One effective way to achieve this is by consciously using your mind for the task at hand and gently steering it back when it starts to wander. This practice, often referred to as mindfulness, involves bringing your full attention to the present activity, whether it's a work project, a household chore, or a conversation with a friend. By immersing yourself fully in the current task, you prevent your mind from drifting into unproductive or negative thought patterns. When you notice your mind straying, perhaps dwelling on past hurts, conjuring up worries about the future, or engaging in idle daydreaming, it's important to pause and ask yourself, is this relevant to my current task? If the answer is no, Make a conscious decision to switch off the mental chatter and redirect your focus. Consider this scenario. You're working on a report for your job, but your mind keeps drifting to a past argument with a friend. Instead of allowing these thoughts to hijack your attention and stir up emotions, acknowledge them and gently bring your focus back to the report. This not only helps you complete your work efficiently, but also prevents the unnecessary stress that comes from ruminating on past events. Another example might be during a family dinner. Instead of letting your mind wander to worries about an upcoming presentation, practice being fully present with your loved ones. Engage in the conversation, savor the food, and appreciate the moment. This practice strengthens your ability to remain grounded in the present and enhances your overall well-being. Mindfulness techniques can also be integrated into your daily routine to reinforce this habit. Simple practices like deep breathing, body scans, or mindful walking can help anchor your attention to the present. For instance, take a few moments each morning to focus on your breath, noticing the sensation of air entering and leaving your lungs. This practice can set a calm and centered tone for the day ahead. In addition to mindfulness, it's beneficial to establish clear boundaries for when and where you allow your mind to wander. Allocate specific times for reflection and planning and stick to them. Outside of these times, gently remind yourself to return to the present whenever your mind starts to drift. It's also helpful to create a conducive environment for focused work. Minimize distractions by turning off unnecessary notifications, setting a designated workspace, and using tools like to-do lists to keep your tasks organized. By creating a structured environment, you can better manage your attention and reduce the likelihood of your mind wandering. Ultimately, the goal is not to suppress your thoughts, but to develop a healthy relationship with them. Recognize that your mind will inevitably wander, but with practice, you can learn to guide it back to the present moment with kindness and patience. Over time, this practice becomes second nature, allowing you to live more fully and authentically in each moment. By focusing on the tasks at hand and living in the present moment, you cultivate a more mindful and intentional approach to life. This strategy not only improves your efficiency and effectiveness, but also enhances your overall sense of peace and fulfillment. Remember, the present moment is the only time you truly have. Make the most of it. Strategy 2. Observe your emotions. Emotions are an integral part of the human experience, but they can often dominate our thoughts and actions if left unchecked. Learning to observe your emotions without judgment is a powerful strategy to regain control over your mind and maintain your presence in the moment. By cultivating emotional awareness, you can cut through the mind's habitual reactions and respond to situations more thoughtfully and effectively. The first step in observing your emotions is to acknowledge their presence. This requires a mindful awareness of your internal state, which can be developed through regular self-reflection and mindfulness practices. When an emotion arises, such as stress, anxiety, or anger, take a moment to recognize it. This act of acknowledgement itself is powerful. It prevents the emotion from taking over and allows you to create a space between the stimulus, the situation causing the emotion, and your response. For instance, consider a situation where you're stressed about an upcoming deadline. Instead of letting the stress escalate into panic or procrastination, pause and become aware of the stress. Notice how it feels in your body, perhaps as tension in your shoulders, a tightness in your chest, or a racing heart. By focusing on the physical sensations, you can anchor yourself in the present moment and prevent the mind from spinning stories that amplify the stress. Once you've acknowledged the emotion, it's important to observe it without judgment. This means accepting the emotion as it is, without labeling it as good or bad. Judging your emotions can lead to additional layers of distress, such as feeling guilty for being stressed or anxious about being anxious. Instead, practice a neutral awareness. Simply note, "I am feeling stressed," without attaching any further significance to it. This non-judgmental observation helps to create a sense of detachment from the emotion. You begin to see it as a transient experience, rather than an integral part of your identity. This perspective shift is crucial. It allows you to understand that while you are experiencing an emotion, you are not the emotion itself. This distinction helps you to respond to the emotion more rationally and less reactively. Bringing your attention back to the task at hand is the next step. After recognizing and observing the emotion, gently redirect your focus to the present activity. If you're working on a project, immerse yourself in the details of the task. If you're interacting with someone, engage fully in the conversation. This redirection breaks the cycle of emotional reactivity and grounds you in the present moment. To further enrich this practice, consider integrating mindfulness techniques such as deep breathing, body scans, or meditation into your daily routine. These practices enhance your ability to observe emotions and maintain a state of calm and focus. For example, during a stressful moment, taking a few deep breaths can help calm your nervous system and bring clarity to your mind. Another useful tool is journaling. Writing about your emotions can provide an outlet for expression and help you process them more effectively. When you put your feelings into words, you gain a deeper understanding of your emotional patterns and triggers, which can inform your strategies for managing them in the future. It's also beneficial to practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer to a friend experiencing the same emotions. Recognize that emotions are a natural part of being human, and it's okay to feel them without judgment. This approach fosters a supportive internal environment, making it easier to navigate emotional challenges. In summary, observing your emotions without judgment is a powerful strategy to break free from the mind's control and remain present. By acknowledging your emotions, observing them neutrally, and redirecting your focus to the present task, you cultivate a more balanced and mindful approach to life. This practice not only enhances your emotional resilience, but also deepens your connection to your true self, leading to a more fulfilling and peaceful existence. Strategy 3. Surrender to reality. In the pursuit of inner peace and mental clarity, one of the most transformative strategies is to surrender to reality. This means accepting life as it unfolds, without constantly comparing it to your expectations or resisting the present moment. Negative emotions often arise from this resistance, creating a sense of inner turmoil and dissatisfaction. Embracing reality as it is doesn't equate to passivity or resignation, but rather to seeing things clearly and responding with wisdom and grace. The concept of surrendering to reality is deeply rooted in mindfulness and acceptance practices. It involves acknowledging the present moment fully, without wishing it to be different. When you accept what is, you free yourself from the mental anguish caused by fighting against circumstances beyond your control. This acceptance paves the way for a calm and clear mind, enabling you to take wise and deliberate action. Take, for instance, the scenario where you have set ambitious financial goals for yourself but are feeling stressed and overwhelmed because you are not meeting them. The initial reaction might be frustration or anxiety, stemming from the gap between your current reality and your desired state. Instead of spiraling into negativity, try surrendering to the reality of your situation. Acknowledge where you are financially without judgment. This doesn't mean giving up on your goals. It means accepting your starting point and recognizing the reality of your present circumstances. Acceptance in this context involves a few key steps. Firstly, take a moment to honestly assess your situation. Look at your financial status, your income, expenses, and any debts you may have. This assessment should be factual, free from the emotional charge of failure or disappointment. By seeing the numbers for what they are, you remove the layers of emotional resistance that cloud your judgment. Once you have a clear picture of your reality, shift your focus from what is lacking to what you can do next. This is where acceptance transforms into wise action. With a calm and clear mind, you are better positioned to devise a practical plan to improve your situation. Maybe it involves creating a stricter budget, seeking additional income sources, or adjusting your financial goals to be more realistic and attainable. The key is that your actions are now based on a clear understanding of your present reality, rather than a reaction to stress or anxiety. To further illustrate, imagine another scenario where you are facing a challenging relationship. Perhaps there are ongoing conflicts or unmet expectations causing tension. Surrendering to reality means accepting the relationship as it is at this moment. Acknowledge the issues without blame or resistance. This doesn't mean you condone negative behavior, but you recognize it as the current state of affairs. From this place of acceptance, you can then decide on the best course of action, whether it is having an open conversation, seeking counseling, or setting boundaries. Acceptance allows you to act from a place of clarity and strength, rather than emotional reactivity. Incorporating the practice of surrendering to reality into your daily life can be profoundly liberating. One effective way to cultivate this habit is through mindfulness meditation. Spend a few minutes each day focusing on your breath and observing your thoughts without judgment. When you notice resistance or negative emotions, gently bring your attention back to the present moment, reminding yourself to accept what is. Another technique is to practice gratitude. Regularly acknowledging the positives in your life helps shift your focus from what you lack to what you have. This shift in perspective makes it easier to accept and work with your current reality, fostering a sense of contentment and peace. It's also helpful to remind yourself of the impermanent nature of life. Everything is in a constant state of flux. Situations, emotions, and experiences are all temporary. This understanding can make it easier to accept the present moment, knowing that it too will pass. In conclusion, surrendering to reality is a powerful strategy for achieving mental clarity and emotional balance. By accepting life as it is, without the constant comparison to expectations, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering and open the door to wise, deliberate action. This practice not only calms the mind, but also aligns you with your true self, leading to a more peaceful and fulfilling life. Strategy 4. Live without expectations. Living without expectations is a liberating approach that shifts your focus from obsessing over future outcomes to fully engaging in the present moment. This doesn't mean abandoning your goals or aspirations. Rather, it means cultivating a mindset that prioritizes the journey over the destination. By releasing your attachment to specific outcomes, you invite a sense of peace and contentment into your life, allowing you to savor each moment and appreciate the beauty that surrounds you. Expectations often create a mental burden, as they tether your happiness to specific future events or achievements. When these expectations are unmet, they can lead to disappointment, frustration, and a sense of failure. In contrast, living without expectations means setting goals and intentions while maintaining a flexible and open mindset, free from rigid attachments to how things should unfold. One of the key aspects of this strategy is the ability to set goals without becoming overly fixated on them. Goals provide direction and motivation, but they should not overshadow your present experiences. For example, if you have a goal to advance in your career, focus on the daily tasks and responsibilities that will help you grow professionally. Immerse yourself in your work, find joy in the process, and learn from each experience. By doing so, you not only enhance your skills but also derive satisfaction from the journey itself, irrespective of the eventual outcome. A practical way to implement this strategy is to cultivate mindfulness in your daily activities. Mindfulness involves paying full attention to the present moment with a non-judgmental awareness of your thoughts, feelings, and surroundings. When you practice mindfulness, you train your mind to stay anchored in the now, reducing the tendency to ruminate on future expectations. Consider a simple activity like taking a walk in nature. Instead of walking with the sole purpose of reaching a destination, immerse yourself in the experience. Notice the colors of the leaves, the sound of birds singing, the feel of the ground beneath your feet, and the scent of the fresh air. This mindful approach can transform an ordinary walk into a rich, fulfilling experience, highlighting the beauty of living in the moment. In the context of relationships, living without expectations can foster deeper connections and greater harmony. Often, we impose expectations on others, expectations about how they should behave, respond, or feel. These expectations can create tension and disappointment when they are not met. By releasing these preconceived notions and accepting people as they are, you create space for genuine, authentic interactions. This acceptance leads to more meaningful relationships based on mutual respect and understanding. Another important aspect of living without expectations is the practice of gratitude. Regularly acknowledging and appreciating what you have in the present moment shifts your focus away from what you lack. Gratitude fosters a sense of abundance and contentment, making it easier to let go of rigid expectations about the future. Start a daily gratitude journal where you note down things you are thankful for, no matter how small. This habit trains your mind to focus on the positives, enhancing your overall well-being. It's also helpful to embrace the concept of impermanence. Life is constantly changing, and nothing remains static. By accepting this fundamental truth, you can approach each moment with an open mind and heart, ready to adapt to whatever comes your way. This adaptability reduces the stress and anxiety associated with unmet expectations, allowing you to flow with life's natural rhythm. Living without expectations does not mean you become passive or indifferent to your aspirations. Instead, it means you engage with your goals with enthusiasm and dedication, while maintaining a flexible and open attitude towards the outcome. This balanced approach empowers you to take purposeful action in the present, free from the pressure of rigid expectations. In summary, living without expectations is a profound strategy for cultivating inner peace and contentment. By focusing on the present moment and enjoying the journey, you free yourself from the mental burden of future outcomes. This mindset allows you to appreciate the beauty of life as it unfolds, fostering a deeper connection with yourself and others. Through mindfulness, gratitude, and an understanding of impermanence, you can embrace each moment fully, creating a life rich with meaning and joy. Conclusion: effort does not guarantee success. Excessive force does not ensure happiness. True wisdom lies in the art of relaxation, the acceptance of reality, and the practice of living fully in the present moment. By embracing these principles, you align yourself with the natural flow of life, tapping into your innate vitality and wisdom. This alignment brings a profound sense of peace and contentment as you become attuned to the rhythm of existence rather than struggling against it. When you live naturally, free from the constraints of incessant thought and the pressures of societal expectations, you unlock a life of true freedom and fulfillment. This state of being allows you to experience each moment as it is, with clarity and joy, unburdened by the past or anxious about the future. You become more present, more engaged, and more alive. In essence, the journey towards living naturally is about rediscovering your true self, the part of you that is always at peace, regardless of external circumstances. This inner harmony radiates outward, influencing every aspect of your life and relationships. As you cultivate mindfulness, gratitude, and acceptance, you foster a deeper connection with yourself and others, creating a life rich with meaning and joy. Thank you for taking the time to watch and reflect. I hope this exploration brings you insight and inspiration on your journey towards inner peace and true fulfillment. Until next time, live naturally and embrace the beauty of each moment.